Welcome back, fellow cardboarders. Let's take a look at my CpDH Kheru Goldkeeper deck, which is a very unique Sultai combo deck built around creating infinite treasures and always being able to tutor up the stuff that you need to finish out the game. Before we look at the card, let's hit into the intro. And welcome back to another installment of Think Outside the Deck Box. Kheru Goldkeeper is a beautiful uncommon dragon, and in Pauper EDH you are able to play any uncommon, which is very unique to the Pauper format. And let's be honest, who's gonna complain if you play an uncommon as your commander in a casual table? So for 4 mana you get a 3/3 flying dragon with whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard in any way, you create a treasure token. And the second ability is not really important. I'll read through it real quickly, but we're not going to use it in any way 99% of the time. For 5, you can exile this dragon from your graveyard to put 2 +1/+1 counters and a flying counter onto any of your creatures. Activate it only as a sorcery, and then you can recast it from your command zone again if you wanted to, but we're not really using that. We're focusing on the very first ability of creating an infinite amount of treasures. So this is a Pauper combo deck and going towards CpDH, so it is quite competitive, trying to win, trying to get the best out of Sultai, getting all the tutors in here that we need to get our combo out as fast as possible. And in very unique ways, so you're gonna see cards that you normally don't see, like the Koi here, which is a wincon in this deck. So I split up this deck into actually 10 different categories. So we have a card draw category, a removal category, a ramp category, protection, some lands we're gonna look towards the end, some mill cards, some recursion cards, all the tutors that we're going to play here, the damage pile that also goes towards the combo pile, as well as the last pile, the combo pile here. So let's start out with the base of the deck, shall we? And then we're going to build up towards the middle of the video where we're going to look at the combos and the intricacies of the deck. So we've got some card draw cards here, which is the Jack-o'-lantern here. You can sack it for 1 and exile any card from a graveyard. If you have your dragon already out, you even get a treasure for that and you draw a card. So quite solid, but it also has a second ability where it can exile itself, triggering your dragon again, getting you another treasure, and actually getting another mana out of that of any color. So either it's removal, it is also card draw, drawing cards, but it also creates a whole bunch of treasures with your dragon out, and this is what we're always going to try, ramp out ahead as fast as we can to get the dragon out and get as many triggers as we are able to, while protecting our dragon, obviously with the counters that we play. For example, Treasure Cruise, we can exile any number of cards from our graveyard, triggering our dragon again, getting us a treasure out of that. So most of the time we're going to just pay a single blue and drawing 3 cards from that. Classic Ancestral Recall in Pauper. Street Wraith is a great card that we want to cycle if needed. Most of the time we're not going to play it for its mana costs, to make sure that we have a creature in our graveyard that we might want to combo with. I will put a little to the side so we can find it again, because I'm going to reference it again in a moment. Ponder. We can just look at the top 3 cards. If we don't like them, we shuffle our library again and draw a random card, but we can also plan out our turn. If there are cards, combo cards that we need, we're gonna leave them on top, obviously, and then we're gonna draw a card replacing the Ponder again. Then we're playing a whole bunch of cards that allow us to sacrifice a creature, but most of the time we're gonna sack an artifact. In this case, treasures that we created or cards that we no longer need. So this gives us a life equal to the permanent's mana value. If it's a treasure, 0 life, but we draw 2 cards. Similarly, Costly Plunder, we're gonna sack an artifact again, maybe we're gonna sack a creature, most of the time not, to draw 2 cards. Deadly Dispute, similarly here, sack an artifact or creature, draw 2 cards and get a treasure out of that as well. So we sack a treasure, get a treasure, that's nice. Viscerator's Insight also lets us sack a creature or artifact to draw 2 cards, but we can do it again with flashback, so that's nice. And flashback, keep in mind, also triggers our commander again, because we're going to exile this card from our graveyard. So that's also nice, getting us another treasure, actually reducing the costs if you want to count it towards that. And a simple one, a Knight's Whisper, to just simply draw 2 cards and lose 2 life. that is our card draw. I thought maybe I wanted to put in some cards like Keep Watch in here as well. I have this whole deck on Moxfield if you want to look at it. I have some cards considering. I will try this deck out a little more to see if I need more card draw or not. Keep Watch and borrowing the 10,000 arrows or what it's called is also a really nice card to at instant speed draw a whole bunch of cards if you're being attacked. But I also like to be sure that I'm actually drawing the cards if I play card draw. So that was something I had to consider. Dispelling Exhale is a interesting, was it mana leak in this deck? For 2, you may show a dragon, the players, and you may look at my commander if it is in play. And if the dragon is in play, you can counter a spell if your opponent does not pay 4. If you don't show a dragon, you get only them to have pay 2. But maybe it's early in the game and you want to counter, let's say, a Soul Ring or so, and they tap out. You don't have your commander out yet, but they don't have 2 open, so you're going to counter that more easily. Later in the game you can make them pay 4, which most of the time they're not going to be able to. Counterspell, a simple card, everyone knows it. Disruption Protocol is another counterspell, but you also have to tap one of your, let's say, treasures, one of your artifacts, and then you just simply counterspell again. Solid card in this deck in my opinion. Arcane Denial, maybe you want to counter one of your spells to also counter towards card draw. Most of the time not, obviously, and we're going to counter a spell. Maybe want to play it politically, we'll see. It has many options. Utter Insignificance is another one that I found recently. It has flash and makes a creature a 1/1, and it can be exiled later on. And we're playing a couple of cards that give us a colorless mana pip, but just turning it into a 1/1 already is great at instant speed. Oubliette, solid pauper card. For 3, you phase out a creature, and if you phase out the commander, they cannot put it into their command zone. So very versatile, very nice card, and it should be in any black deck in my opinion, pauper or not. Go for the Throat, destroy non-creature artifact straight out of the box, great card. Marrow Bone Gnawer, not many people know about. For 1 black, a 1/1, you can tap it to remove any card from the graveyard out of the game. And again, this could count towards card draw, right? Like, you exile a card from your graveyard that you no longer need. Let's just say they go for the Throat, used it once, don't need it anymore, and then you get a treasure out of that. And if you play a black spell, you can even untap, so it could ramp multiple times throughout a game. Relic of Progenitus is another one of these, which again lets you ramp or remove cards from opponents' graveyards. If you remove one of yours, you ramp, and if you just want to hit the bomb, you press 1, exile it, and exile all graveyards. Keep in mind yours as well. You get a treasure out of that again, and you draw a card. So there should be nothing important in your graveyard if you're gonna use that button. Then you have the Heritage Reclamation, which has many options. Destroying artifact, destroying enchantment, or you can exile a card, maybe yours, from the graveyard and get to draw a card as well, and a treasure if you wanted to do that. Nature's Claim destroys artifact, enchantment, gives them 4 life. We don't mind, we win over combos, not single damage most of the time. Fairy Macabre, for 3 you get a 2/2 flyer, or you can discard it from your hand to remove 2 cards from any graveyard. And similarly to the Street Wraith, this is a card that we want to have in our graveyard if we go into a specific combo mode, so we're going to put it to the side again. And once more, either this is removal or ramp. Now, Devoted Druid. I had a combo in here, but I took it out, but still it was a solid ramp card, so I still kept it in. I think it was a combo with Merce Grappling and Ashnod's Altar and the like. It was a little too clunky and I took it out, but he's still in here. We also have Funthorn Elf, which lets us tap to get a green. Similarly, the Elvish Mystic and Llanowar Elves, all of them solid cards to ramp ahead to get our commander out 1 turn earlier. Arbor Elf untaps a forest, and we play a couple of dual lands. This way he could also untap an island or swamp. Elves of Deep Shadow allows us to get a black for 1 damage, solid, and gets us therefore another color. Nature's Lore and 3 visits, both of them get us a forest, most of the time a dual land to get the mana fixing that we need, but keep in mind this also comes into play untapped if you get a basic forest. Utopia Sprawl fixes us for 1 color, just for a single green mana. If we play it early, it's great. Wayfarer's Bauble. Do I have to explain that? I don't think I have to explain that one. And next up, before we go into the grittiness of the deck of the combos that we play, we have the protection cards. First up, the Campfire, which allows us to actually save our graveyard if someone plays like a Bajuka Bog. We have this out and we can save our entire graveyard and shuffle it into our library. We actually also take our commanders from the command zone and graveyard back to our hand, so that's also a nice way. Other than that, it just lies there and gives us 2 life every turn if we want to do that. Essence Flux. If we have an important combo piece creature that we want to save, we could blink it and even get a +1/+1 counter onto it as a little bonus for just 1 mana. And we have Tamiyo's Safekeeping again for 1 mana. Hexproof, indestructible. Great card. What more do you want? And it even goes onto any permanent, so that's really nice. We can save a Ashnod's Altar or the like. Now let's see how this deck wants to win. To understand some of the combos, we need to look at the recursion pile. So let's go through that first, then look at the damage and the combo pile to understand how this deck really works. We have Undertaker, which is a repeatable recursion to just discard a card that we don't need. Maybe we get a land that we no longer need because we have so much treasures out, and we can just discard a land or any other card to get a creature back from our graveyard to our hand every turn. Archaeomancer gets us any of the instant sorcery cards that we need, maybe that you saw, that you see later. Nice Joker card. Revive the Shire gets us a permanent card from our graveyard back to our hand. We get a bonus food token, because why not? We have Reclaim here to put a card, maybe save a card at instant speed on top of our library. We have Season of Renewal, which gets us actually 2 cards, 1 enchantment, 1 creature card back to our hand from our graveyard. We have Urborg Reprocession, which gets us a creature card and 2 life, and if we kick it, we get another permanent card from our graveyard to our hand. Unearth to get a creature from our graveyard reanimated to the battlefield. We can even use it for card draw by cycling it. And now the important cards here are some dredge cards. Most of their effects are not really important. Putting +1/+1 counters onto creatures, not that important. It is nice that we can actually play it and sack it and have it in the graveyard and then be able to dredge. So if we don't mill it, we could do that. Stinkweed Imp then is a little harder to get into the graveyard, but then again, it's a nice blocker and it has dredge 5. And lastly, the Golgari Brown Scale. If it is put into the hand from our graveyard, we get 2 life, and it also has dredge 2. Now these 3 are important for some of the combos that we're playing. Let's look at the first one here. So these 2 are very similar and redundant pieces. We have the Sky Swimmer's Koi and the Rook Turret, which both have, if an artifact enters our under control, we draw a card and discard a card. And this actually goes infinite with our commander and a dredge card. So the idea is this. You have one of your dredge cards in your graveyard. You have the Koi or the Turret on your board, as well as your commander. Now you start your turn, you draw a card, you actually don't want to dredge yet. You want to have any other trigger that gets you the Sky Swimmer, Koi, or the Turret triggered. So in this case, not a dredge card, except if you have a second one in your grave. But let's say you play any of the other recursion cards here, you play an Unearth or the like, and then you get the combo going. Now, a card left your graveyard because of your recursion. Your Kheru Goldkeeper triggers, you get to create a treasure token. Creating a treasure token gets you the Sky Swimmer Koi trigger, and you get to draw and discard a card. Now, instead of drawing, we want to dredge 2 with the Golgari Brown Scale. Here we put 2 cards into our grave instead. A card is leaving our grave, we get the Goldkeeper trigger here again, and we would create a treasure. We have that on the stack, but we still have to resolve that we have to discard a card, so why not discard the dredge card here? This is in our grave again, and we have a treasure that is being created. We have a loop now. So we create a treasure, then we have to draw a card and discard a card if we want to. We could do that with the dredge card again. we draw it, we get a treasure trigger on the stack, and we put it back to the grave by discarding it with the koi or turret. Now that doesn't win us the game by itself. We now have infinite mana, we have infinite treasures here that enter infinitely. Now let's look at the damage pile and how we win. Look at the Disciple of the Vault here. Whenever an artifact is put into our grave from play, any grave actually, we may have someone lose 1 life. Now, the idea is, why not sack a whole bunch of treasures and kill everyone with the Disciple? Or with the Nightblade, which says whenever a token leaves the battlefield, we drain 1 life from everyone, even stronger. With the treasures, again, we can just sack them. Mirkwood Beds is even 1 level stronger because we don't even have to sack all the treasures. Now even creating the treasures kills everyone. And we have the Packed Doll Terror, which also triggers when a creature enters, or an artifact, which is the important part, the second one, and we drain everyone again. Now, bear with me, this is one of the combo cycles explained, and this is so interesting because these are cards that you normally don't see interacting with each other in a normal game of Commander, and the uniqueness of the Kheru Goldkeeper I really enjoy. So I do challenge you to build your own Pauper deck. Maybe you wanna build this one again also. So challenge yourself and try it out at a casual table of people who are really fine with playing any of the uncommon creatures here that don't have to be legendary. This is my very first deck that has not a legendary commander, and I like the uniqueness of it, and I don't think anyone will actually mind you playing with cards like these. Actually, I think they would even love to see you play that because it's a new commander that they have never seen before most of the time if you play in casual EDH, not pEDH pods. Now, you might wonder, Persistent Specimen. For 1, you get a 1/1, which can return itself to the battlefield tapped. How does that win? Now, the idea is you need 4 mana to have like an infinite cycle. So why not use Ashnod's Altar here? So you have the Specimen on the battlefield, you sack it, you get 2 colorless, and then you pay 1 black and the 2 colorless here to put it back onto the battlefield. Now that triggers your commander because it's leaving the grave, you get a treasure, and from now on you have a cycle because you have 1 treasure that you can use for the black mana and the 2 colorless pips you get here, and you only needed 1 black to start the combo, but you had to play it somehow, so you will have the black mana. And you have an infinite cycle of the Specimen entering and coming back to play. An infinite amount of treasures are being sacrificed, and well, you already know how that ends, right? With people being drained out or dying. So these 2 combo nicely. This also, by the way, combos with the Mirror Retriever and a Workshop Assistant. This is a combo that I already showed on some of my videos where I'm playing it. I think my Gut Inspiring Leader deck has that in here. So the idea is you need these 2 on the grave or battlefield. One of them needs to be on the battlefield, 1 in the grave. Let's say the Mirror Retriever is on the battlefield, you sack it for 2 colorless, it goes into the grave, and you're allowed to put a creature card back into your hand because this is the trigger that it says that what it does, and you get the Workshop Assistant back to your hand. Now that triggers your commander. You always need your commander out, as you noticed, and you get 1 treasure. Now 1 treasure and 2 colorless makes you be able to put the Workshop Assistant out again. You can sack it again, you get 2 colorless mana, you get the die trigger, you get the Mirror Retriever out, and you get another treasure. From now on we have 1 treasure left over because this only costs 2. In total they cost 5, you get 4 in total and 2 treasures. And now you have infinite treasures, you have infinite mana, you have infinite damage, however you want to go again. This also triggers the Sky Swimmer and the Rook Turret combo because you have artifacts entering always. And from then on, you can just start winning, right? Now, let's look at another combo here, which doesn't require any of these. The Tortured Existence. For 1 black, you can discard a creature card and get a creature card back from your grave into your hand. Now, this is why I put these two to the side because we need one creature in our grave. How about one of these? We can discard them by noticing that we just drew the Tortured Existence and we want to play it and start winning. And we can just throw it out into the grave and have some trigger from them. But the important part is that we have a creature in the grave and one in our hand. And from then on, we start a cycle. Let's say we have any creature, let's say the elves in our hand. We discard them by paying 1 black and we put the Street Wraith back into our hand. But now Kheru Goldkeeper triggers and we get a treasure out because this was just leaving our grave. And we use the treasure again to get the elves back into our hand. But now the elves left and we get another treasure and we have an infinite amount of treasures entering. No infinite mana, so don't worry, it's not that busted, but any of the damage dealers will do the trick. Now let's look at our last card in this pile, which is the Evolution Witness, which is another interesting cycle because the idea with Evolution Witness is this, and I'm not sure if I want to keep playing it, but you could also put her into the Recursion pile if you wanted to. With Mirror Grappling, you can actually sack it to put a +1/+1 counter onto her, to then trigger her, and the Mirror Grappling is already sacrificed, to get the Mirror Grappling back to your hand. This would trigger the Kheru Goldkeeper again, getting you the treasure that you need to put the Mirror Grappling out again. You could create then an infinitely big Evolution Witness and an infinite amount of Pactal triggers. For now, I kept it aside. You could put her also into the Recursion pile then, and I'll try it out a couple of games and maybe I'll put the Mirror Grappling in again, because a +1/+1 counter strategy and just having a very big creature most of the time isn't the best strategy to play, but I'll try it. I'll try it and see how it works. So we'll put this here as an honorable mention. Now let's look at 3 more mill cards, which is Cash Grab. You mill 4 and get a permanent back. The rest is irrelevant. We're not playing any squirrels. But it triggers your commander, and this is just a 1 mana mill card, which counts towards card draw, I'd say, and gets us the combo pieces that we might need into our graveyard, or maybe a creature for the Tortured Existence, you name it. Grapple with the Past is similar. You mill 3 and you get a creature or land card back to your hand. Again, triggers your commander. Forbidden Alchemy does not trigger your commander first time, but with the flashback then does. But you look a little deeper, which is what I liked about putting Forbidden Alchemy in. Now lastly, before we look at the land pile, and I hope you enjoyed this video, the Tutor pile. Now the Wirewood Herald tutors for an elf, so either a Mana Dork or the Evolution Witness are great targets for this one. We have Trinket Mage, which can tutor for a 1 mana artifact, and this will be most of the time the Relic of Progenitus, which is a great ramp card, but we have several more artifacts that you already saw that are playable in here. We have Merchant Scroll, which can actually tutor for the upcoming Transmute cards here. 3 of them, and or you want to get a card draw or a counter card if you really need to. Then we have the Mystical Teachings, which also get an instant card from our library, or a flash card. I don't know if we play much with flash here, and put it into our hand, and it also has flashback to also trigger our commander again. Again, this could tutor for any of these 2 here of the Transmute cards if we wanted to. Now Transmute allows us to discard this card, pay 3 mana in all cases, to get a card from your library with the same amount of mana costs. And all tutor cards that are in here have either 1 mana or 3 mana or 4 mana, which are 4 transmute cards that allow you to get the exact combo piece that you really need. So, for example, you get the Persistent Specimen for 1, you could get the Disciple of the Vault, you could get the Tortured Existence, all for 1 mana. For 3 mana you could get the Ashnod's Altar, you could get one of the damage dealers here, you could get a Dredge card here also if you wanted to. There's another one for 3. The Dimir House Guard then gets you the 4 mana cards, which is the 2 Koi effects here with the turret. or Mirkwood Bats or Packdoll Terror. So all of these are very strong cards which could finish the game by transmuting for the cards. Then we have 3 cycling cards which you might want to pay for their normal cost to just play them. Lorien Reveal probably is the strongest one, allowing you to draw 3 cards. The others I wouldn't play for the mana costs, only if you're really desperate. Then let's lastly look at the lands here and let me know what you think about this deck. Cycling, and it also is able to tutor for a basic Swamp Forest Island card, so very versatile card, also gives us the colorless pip. These all tutor for a basic land and put it into the battlefield tapped, and all give us 1 life. This also has cycling and fixes us the color that we need. Command Tower, great card. Mystic Sanctuary is another one that triggers our commander and puts a instant sorcery card if we want to onto the library. Witch's Cottage does the same with creatures, triggers our commander again and puts it on top of the library. We have 3 dual lands which we can fetch for with cards like 3 visits, except for this one, which is not a forest. And then we play, I think, 6 of each of these beautiful Mirage basic lands. And now I want to hear from you. Let me know which cards I forgot to put into the Goldkeeper deck. Again, the deck list is in the comments below. I know this was a long video. It is a complex deck, but I really enjoy these kind of puzzly decks, and the opponent doesn't really know what your strategy is if they never played against you. And even if they play twice or 3 times against you, they still haven't seen all the combos. So I really like this deck, and that it is able to play with a Pauper deck. So money is really not an issue with this one. Looking forward to read you all in the comments. I wish you a beautiful day, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye!